Our first plenary speaker, Dr. Rebecca Sear, is going to give a sneak peek of one of the topics that await you in this year's Congress. First of all, hello, Dr. Sear. Pleasure to have you here.
Hello, it's very nice to be here.
So can you tell us a bit about yourself and your research field?
Yes, so my name is Rebecca Sear. I work at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and I work across the disciplines of demography and anthropology, but using an evolutionary perspective to understand questions of demographic health and behavioural interest. If I had to give a single label to describe myself, it would be human behavioural ecologist, but that term is not very often understood outside of the evolutionary behavioural sciences, so it's not a term I use very often, but it just means I study behaviour very broadly defined in its ecological context with an evolutionary perspective.
Wow, okay. So what inspired you to explore your chosen research field?
So it was really David Attenborough and his natural history programs and books when I was a kid and a teenager. His programs made the natural world look so fascinating. Also evolutionary processes, how they have generated all this amazing diversity of life across the planet. So I think David Attenborough was my original inspiration.
How cute. So moving on to the Congress, what topic will you present at this year's Congress, and how would you introduce or summarize your paper to a person with no background knowledge of human ethology, biology, or psychology?
So my talk is going to be about the misuse of science for political ends. So science is supposed to be objective. It's meant to be documenting and understanding the world around us, but science is done by humans who are all biased, and we bring those biases into our work. But there are also some people, some scientists, who will deliberately misuse science in order to promote a particular political ideology. An example here is scientific racism, where people will misuse science in order to promote the ideology that certain racial groups are inherently inferior to others. Within the evolutionary human sciences, unfortunately, there has been a long history of scientific racism and similar misuses of science too. And my talk is going to be about scientific racism and this promotion of political ideology through the misuse of science, really in order to hopefully improve the current evolutionary behavioural sciences. I think in order to tackle scientific racism and other misuses of science, we need to understand its history and also how it's being used in the present day. There is some evidence that these misuses of science may even be gaining ground in the 21st century. So I want to talk about how scientific research has been misused to promote particular political ideologies, both historically and in the present day, hopefully in order to counter these problematic uses of science.
Wow, so a very up-to-date topic. And what do you expect out of this year's Congress?
I'm not entirely sure what to expect. I've never having attended one of these conferences before, but what I'm hoping for is to hear some very rigorous and interesting research on behavioural science.
Yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much for this informative sneak peek, and I'm pretty sure that our audience is now very eager to hear more of your presentation and your talk. So just sign up, audience, submit your own paper, just to have like interesting conversation and exchange with fellow scientists as well. Thank you.